Welcome back, artists. We are going to continue learning about Inkscape by learning how to use the Node tool to convert shapes into paths and paths into new shapes. You will show what you have learned by using the Node tool to convert a circle and a square both into this water droplet shape. So we should be familiar with the ellipse or arc circle tool and the rectangle tool in Inkscape. So we're going to start by selecting the circle tool. We are going to hold down Control, click, and drag so that we get a perfect circle. If you don't have a color that you like, you can go over to the Fill and Stroke panel and pick a nice blue for your water droplet shape. So when we have a shape, we would see these options on the shape, but we want to convert it to a path so that we get nodes. So to do that, make sure that your object is selected and you'll go to Path, Object to Path. And now when I click over here, the second button on the left menu is the Node tool. If I click that, I should now see 4 nodes on my circle. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can see. We can always go zoom, zoom, selection. Now we can really see. So if I select this node, you'll see that it turns red, and that lets us know that that is the node that's selected, and that's the node that will change. On either side of this node are these 2 circles which are called handles. If I click and drag any of those handles, then I'm changing the curve of the line that's connected to that node. And notice that as I change one handle, it's changing the other side of the circle as well. Same on the other side. If I grab this handle and start moving, it's changing both sides of the circle as it's changing the line that's connected to that node. So I'm going to go just undo any change that I made to that. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And first, with this node selected, I just want to drag that circle up to start to change into this water droplet shape. So I'm going to hold down Control and drag so that I'm going to go up in a straight line. If I don't have Control selected, then this circle wobbles all over the place, but I want to make sure that I'm going directly up. Okay, so Control, drag to start to drag this into a water droplet shape. All right, if I click off, I see that it's more of an egg shape right now, and I want to get this pointy shape at the top. So I'll go back to my node tool. I will select this node. And again, if I just drag one handle, I'm going to be making a lopsided shape, but I want to make sure that it's symmetrical on both sides. So in order to do that, I will use some of these options up here that control my nodes. And the first one that I'm going to do is up here, the second one in, I believe, let's see, is the break path at selected nodes. So if I click on this, notice how one handle disappeared. So now I only have one handle left. And if I hold down Control and start to drag that down, now I'm only changing one side of this egg shape. So I'm going to go ahead and drag it. If you notice when I hold down Control, it's going to move it in 15-degree increments. So I'm going to move it about 4 clicks down. If I go back up and select the node again, sometimes the tricky part about the break path is that I'm actually creating 2 nodes right on top of each other. So if it's not letting you select the other path, which means the other handle isn't showing up, sometimes if you just take the select tool, click off the side, go back here, and then select this node tool again, then you'll get the other side. All right, so I'll hold down Control and click this one so that it is symmetrical. If I clicked it down 4 times on the right-hand side, I will click it down 4 times on the left-hand side. So now I have a nice symmetrical teardrop shape. I can continue altering this shape by clicking on any of the other nodes. So if I take the bottom node, select the bottom node, make sure it turns red, and I want to try to change both sides at the same time. So up here we broke the node so we could have 2 different handles. Another option is to use this tool up here that says make the node symmetrical, make selected nodes symmetric, right? So if I select that as an option, and I drag one handle, then it's going to drag the other in the exact same way. So I can start to widen or narrow the bottom of the water droplet. All right, and the last thing I want to do is to show you how to control the width. So if this water droplet is rounder than you would like, I could click and drag to select both of these nodes at the same time. And if I hold down Shift and use the less than sign, then I can bring both sides in at the same time to make it more narrow, or I could use the greater than sign to make it wider. So I'm just going to bring it in until it's kind of like that. That's kind of what I like here. All right, I could go back up to the top and change this, but I believe that, yeah, now I see how there are two nodes were just right on top of each other. So unless I could take those nodes and I could join them back together, and then I could control, and now I just have one node that I could, if I wanted to make my water droplet taller or shorter. All right, so there is our first object. I'm going to zoom back out so we can see the whole page. All right, we had a circle and now we have a water droplet, so I'll just move that over to the side. All right, now I'm going to show you how to make the same shape out of a square, believe it or not. So we're going to go over here to our rectangle tool. Again, I'm going to hold down Control so that I can get a nice perfect square, not a rectangle. And again, I will go to Path, Object to Path, to convert it into a path which I can alter with nodes. So I will zoom in a little bit here. All right, another tool we didn't talk about before is if you're zooming in and out and you're not able to kind of pan or move the canvas around, if you hold down the space bar and then click and drag, then you can move the canvas. So I'm going to zoom out. Here we go. All right, so node tools there. All right, so on the, I'm going to go back to my selection tool and select this the square. And if I click on it again, notice that the handles turn into curved arrows. That means that we're in the rotation option of our selection tool. So if I hold down Control again, Control just constrains the angles as you're turning it. So hold down Control and I'm going to start to turn it so that it's more of a diamond shape. The top and the bottom corners line up vertically. All right, and just move it so we can see it here. I'll zoom out just a little. All right, so I'm going to go back to my node tool and I should see those 4 nodes now here. I can take my top node and I could stretch it out so that I have more of that kind of teardrop shape. And now for these bottom nodes, we have these really sharp corners, and there are no sharp corners in a water droplet down at the bottom. So we want to convert those into round shapes. So with my node tool selected, I'm going to click and drag over those 3 nodes so that all 3 are selected at once. And I'm going to go up to this option, which is to make selected nodes smooth. If I click on this one, voila, no more sharp corners. Now they're all rounded edges. If I choose selection and click off, it's starting to look like that other water droplet, but I want to refine it even more. So now I'll go back to my node tool on here. I can take that bottom node, and again, remember we can use this symmetry tool, make selected nodes symmetric, so that I can make the base broader or narrower. I can select both of these nodes at the same time, and again, Shift and less than to bring it in. I can hold down Control and I could drag up and down with both nodes selected to kind of bring more weight into the bottom of the teardrop shape or bring it a bit up. So I'm going to leave it about there, and then again Shift and it didn't select both, sorry. Select both of these here, Shift and less than, we'll bring those both in. And unfortunately for minor adjustments, we can't do anything. There's an option to make one node symmetrical where you can change both sides of one node the same way, but there's no way right now to make two separate nodes symmetrical. So if I change this side, I have to change this side independently. There's ways that we can change that, which we'll look at in future projects. But for now, here we go. We had a circle. This is what we started with here. And we had a square. This is what we started with here. And using the node tool, we were able to convert those shapes. So this is kind of the basis of how we start to create a lot of designs in Inkscape, and we will continue this in the next lesson. Thanks for watching.